This is your Chargers linebacker, Deion Henley, and you're tuning in with Chargers Unleashed.
Welcome to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the LA Football Network. If this is your first time tuning in the show, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button on YouTube. You could also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Dan Wolkenstein. This episode may feel a little like Groundhog's Day, but we assure you that it isn't, because the last episode that we did, Dan and I came on here for a special Chargers Unleashed After Dark, just hours after it was reported that the Chargers were expected to hire Mike McDaniel as the new offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. And then we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
Crickets.
And 1 week later, after a bunch of news, rumors, everything that was swirling, potential head coaching interviews that Mike McDaniel was still going to be taking, still potentially in the running for the Raiders job. God, it was a good Monday, Dan. It was a good way to start Monday morning, January 26th, because it has now been made officially official with the official pen that brings out the official ink that was put on the official dotted line of the official contract. Mike McDaniel, your new offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. Lots to get into, lots to talk about. Dan Wolkenstein, have you taken the deep breath yet? Have you finally come? I think you've finally come to the realization that it's like, okay, now it's time to go to work.
I think so. And I'll be honest, even when I saw the news come today, I thought, well, is it really official? Like, is it really? Like, he could still go get a head coaching job. I've been burned. We've been burned. This is a new life we're living in this Jim Harbaugh-led Chargers atmosphere. And Mike McDonald, the offensive guru himself, did I say McDonald? Wow, Mike McDaniel. Between Mike McDonald, Josh McDaniels, all of it's too much. Look, we got Mickey D's in the house. Okay, no more Burger King. We're going Big Macs. Personally, I'm taking chicken nugs at McDonald's. Those are by far the best things there. I mean, say what you want, right? All the words, innovative, forward-thinking, all of the things that Chargers fans have been dreaming of for this Chargers offense. Imagine the euphoria is now reality. This Chargers offense has a brilliant mind at the head of it right now. The head coach of your Los Angeles Chargers offense is now Chargers offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel. And then to make matters even better, to sweeten the pot, maybe an hour later, the menace himself breaks some news along with Chris Rim from ESPN. Tyler Tart signs a 3-year extension to remain in Los Angeles with the Chargers.
Huge priority.
A year after you saw Poona Ford go to the other LA team after a very well-earned contract, Tyler Tart steps into those big shoes and balls. And he becomes a fan favorite week 1. Quite literally. Y'all know. If you know, you know. Huge, huge reason why the Chargers defense continued to step forward this past season, into a top 5 defense. Jake, lots of vibes. Exciting. Got Chargers League's hotline going crazy today. Comments are going nuts. So we'll try to do our best to get everything in here as well. So we'll talk about the Tyler Tart. We'll talk about Mike McDonald and what we have to look forward to.
Did you do it again? You did it again.
Dang.
Seriously, did you have Mickey D's? Look, is this what's on your brain right now?
No, but look, he won. He's in the Super Bowl now. Which
the other Mike McDonald.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll talk about those. We'll also talk about possibly NFL draft stuff, which I have waited.
Don't tease me.
Damn. I know. And of course, we will talk about whatever folks have in the chat. We got about an hour here to have some fun. Real quick, folks in the chat, let us know while you're waiting for us to begin this. Jake's going to talk about our friends over at Sleeper. But while we're doing that, let us know in the chat what you're drinking. Let us know in the chat what is on the docket for dinner. And let us know how we're feeling about Mike McDaniel.
There we go.
One McDaniel.
Not plural, no S at the end of it. People have said mix Josh McDaniels with Mike McDaniel, no S.
One singular Mike McDaniel is now in Los Angeles. Jake, let's talk about our friends over at Sleeper.
Normally I start off this ad read for Sleeper saying that the NFL season is here, but really, NFL season's about to end. So if you have not gotten a chance to get your bets in with Sleeper, you still have a chance to win up to 1,000 times your cash for daily fantasy football with Sleeper. And you got one more game this season to do it. So you guys better get on it. So pick on the stats for the stars in the only stars that are pretty much left in the game. There's not much many to choose from that you normally could during the regular season if you didn't do this. But touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points and more for up to 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you could win big. Just use the promo code Chargers, LAFB, and you can get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper terms and use for details. Currently operating in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
So, Jake, now some people might say that I've been a little pessimistic.
Some people.
Waiting for this Chargers Mike McDaniel to drop and made official. And I argue I was not being pessimistic. I was just being a realist. And I was not allowing myself to get too far ahead of this until now. Now we can get jazzed.
There we go.
Now we can get jazzed. Good Lord, have we been waiting so effing long for this Chargers offense to look somewhat innovative, somewhat in the 21st century. And finally, say what you will about him as a head coach over there in Miami. Nobody questioned, at least nobody sane, questioned the mind of the one Mike McDaniel as an offensive guru. Again, Sean McVay calls this guy revolutionary. This offense that Mike McDaniel brings causes fits for opposing defense. All the bunch formations, all the motion, all the misdirection, all the creativity. It's a masterclass. And there's a reason why Jim Harbaugh went after him. And now we got it. So what's next? Jake, this is probably too easy of a question. It's kind of a softball, but I'm allowed this one to start. What's going to be the first moment where it's just going to be like
here we go.
For this charge, for like 2026, whether it's training camp, whether it's preseason, regular season, what's going to be that first moment for you where it's like, finally?
If we hear anything about a Frank Smith signing this week, you know it's on. You know it's on. Because if you talk about the last 2 years of being in a Greg Roman system, specifically with the offensive line, specifically how he runs mostly a gap-heavy scheme, and Mike McDaniel just runs completely the opposite of that, which is shitty for me in the draft world because so many offensive linemen that I like are now geared towards the gap system, the previous system that we were in. So it's going to change all the priorities for as far as what Mike McDaniel is going to look for.
Perfect.
But if you're telling me that you bring Mike Smith into this to coach up the offensive line,
Frank Smith. Not Mike Smith.
All right, you got me. If you bring Frank Smith into this team to coach up the offensive line, even give him duties as a run game coordinator. I don't care because he did wonders with it before when he was with this team. You know you're in for something good. Not only do you obviously need to retool the offensive line in a variety of different ways, but this would be step one into getting there. Personnel aside, this would be step one. I would be so excited to see what you're going to be able to do with Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt and insert 3 offensive linemen in between them, but in a outside zone scheme. How's Amari and Hampton going to flourish in that? Well, I know he isn't necessarily as explosive as Devon Achane, but look what the hell he did this season. There's a number of categories offensively. I even saw the Chargers post it as far as where that offense landed for them in terms of the ranks. They were damn good. They were damn good. And you would never expect an offense with Justin Herbert to feel like it was handcuffed, feel like it was stagnant, feel like it was too predictable. And I know that if someone turned on this episode and literally just captured me saying that sentence, you would have thought it was like 2021 or 2023. And here we are again in 2026, seemingly saying the same damn thing. So it's not something new that we're used to seeing, but when you take that and when you just look at how bad or repetitive it was, and again, not just because of Justin Herbert. I mean, I think that the offensive line injuries were really the start of everything. I don't think that Greg Roman really got an opportunity to do the offense that he wanted. To me, his best games of coaching was the first Kansas City game in Brazil. I thought he did an absolutely wonderful job in that particular game. Dallas and Minnesota. Those are probably his 3 best coach games. But you have to be able to adapt on a week-to-week, half-to-half basis on that. And there were just way too many times where you're just sitting there scratching your head, yelling at your television of wondering what the hell is going on. Not allowing receivers to get out in space. Obviously unable to run the bootleg anymore because defenses were ready for that once the offensive line went down, once Justin Herbert got hurt. It really limited what they could do offensively. But again, we're talking about limiting an offensive playbook that was about this thin. Now let's expand that playbook like this and give that to Mike McDaniel and give that to Justin Herbert.
Feels good, man. Feels good. I know there are some people worried about, Chargers going to Charger, and people were talking smack about him going to Las Vegas Raiders or going to Buffalo Bills or going to Cleveland Browns or going to insert number of places. But you started to hear some whispers about
Dan, if I may, sorry, because this is pertinent news. Daniel Popper just drops. The Chargers have officially completed an interview with Steve Clinkscale for the defensive coordinator position.
I think right now he's a front runner.
I would agree.
Ooh, okay, so we'll talk about defensive coordinators here in a bit too. I lost train of thought. What was I saying?
Sorry. I know that was kind of big news. Sorry.
No, that's important. We're going to get to it. Marrying Justin Herbert with an innovative offensive mind. The last time you can say that, do you want to call Shane Steichen like an innovative offensive mind? Sure. I'll give him that. Rookie year, 6 years ago. Joe Lombardi, Greg Roman, Kellen Moore for a year. And Kellen Moore, I'll give Kellen Moore credit, but that year was kind of crippled. We've seen what a Mike McDaniel offense can do, both in San Francisco, under Shanahan, and in Miami. He has been able to do less with more. He has gotten the most out of the talent on the offensive side. He has implemented a very effective and efficient running game. He has gotten quarterback play that most would argue outlasted the quality of the quarterback. Not trying to throw shade, just saying. You look at some of the talent that coach brought in and let flourish in Miami. How many of those things have we lauded the other side of the football with Jesse Minter and the things that he's able to do with less? The innovation that he brings, the amount of conflict he puts opposing offensive quarterbacks in, his coaching prowess, his forward thinking. We had the opposite of that with Greg Roman and his offense. Not taking shots, it's just the way it was. There were some glimpses here and there. We're like, oh, okay, that was nice. He's in his bag a little bit. But if we're talking 80-20 rule, that's part of the 20. But now we're getting to the point where we're able to see what we've all been dreaming of. And Jake, not to get you too excited, but let me tell you, some of those cats that they got over there in Miami while he was the head coach have been the archetype that I have been dying for every effing year, and then they come and go. So those offensive weapons sure would be nice. And so personally, selfishly, hell yes, sign me up for 2026 NFL draft research because they might get one of those guys that I want.
It's about damn time, Wolkenstein.
Oh, gosh. And I saw a quote or a stat from our friends over at Guilty as Charged, Steve Haglund. I'm going to butcher this. I'm going to forget exactly the statistic, but I think it was 30th ranked offensive line in terms of money spent on, equating to the second most productive rushing attack. Talk about doing less with more. You're spending the 30th or the third fewest dollars on the second most effective rushing game. Greg Rowan says, imagine Justin Herbert with a running game. Yeah, I am. I'm trying. Here we are. And again, not throwing shade. I don't think this is a homer take. You stack up the offenses that Mike McDaniel has had so far as either an offensive coordinator or as a head coach. I don't think there's any question that the talent on this Chargers offense, I would say, far outperforms those previous ones. Sure, there's Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Achane and Tua, Jonnu Smith. Okay. I'll take Jake. I'll take this one. I will take this one. Jake, there's folks in the chat. Jake is purple, son. Do you see yourself? There we go. Better? There we go.
Sorry, it's
back to purple.
It's a darker setting on this particular screen that I'm on that offends your. I'm here. I'm still here. Do not adjust your television screens. I'm still here. For the blue man group, that's good. That's good.
Oh man!
I wish I could play an instrument. I'd have to do the drums for sure. That'd have to be me.
Just bang on a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
Dang. Okay. Shifting gears. Folks are kind of excited about the Steve Clinkscale news.
As
Steve Clinkscale would be nice. Colonel Clink would keep the ghost of Minter alive. Colonel Clink. I've never heard that one before. You said the Chargers need Rashid Shaheed as a burner to fit Mike McDaniel's scheme and then draft the fastest running back in round 3 or 4. Yeah. Yeah. James Wagner. I'm sorry, the Chargers are not charging in the traditional sense. TNT Adventure. No Bozeman. Bring me a new big bad center. My first moment, says James, will be a competent gap O-line operation.
Just a competent O-line in general works.
AJ Briggs. Arguably, the DC hire is more important than Mike McDonald.
Damn, you did it again. That's 3.
It's probably 4. Mike McDaniel. What the hell? Why do I keep doing that? You know what it is? Because I said Mickey D's, and I think that's why. Stupid. I gotta stop doing that. Okay.
Go get yourself a Big Mac when this show is over.
No, but then I'm gonna keep thinking McDonald again. Golly. Okay, so counter to this argument, or to this statement. You and I were talking offline, Jake. If we're talking comparisons, what's more likely, or what's the bigger gap here? Jesse Minter to a Steve Clinkscale, or pick whatever top-notch next up candidate is. The gap between those guys And the gap just keeps on going between Greg Roman, offensive coordinator, and Mike McDaniel. Which gap do you think is bigger?
The Greg Roman, Mike McDaniel gap, and you significantly closed that.
So I disagree. I think the offensive coordinator right now is far more important than losing Jesse Minter. Because again, if it's Steve Clinkscale that comes in, I don't know how much of a beat you're missing. They have been tied to the hip doing the same scheme for years now. Since Michigan. Let's say it takes a hit. Instead of it being a top 5 defense, let's say it's top 15, top 10. And your offense goes from arguably one of the most vanilla, archaic, top 10? Top 10? Like I'm being generous here. I'm not trying to blow smoke. Top 10? Yeah, I'll take that. A bunch of comments here, Jake. Let's get some of these again. I'm worried about the relationship between McDaniel and Justin Herbert. What if they hate one another? Their personalities seem like polar opposites. Herbert's going to be so confused by this weirdo. What do you think?
What are you talking about? Everybody said that when Jim Harbaugh was going to be hired as the Chargers head coach. Seemingly everybody's been saying that about Jim Harbaugh his entire career. I mean, and look no further than the imitation interview that was put out there shortly after the McDaniel news broke last week. They're quirky guys. And even to a certain extent, Justin's kind of a quirky guy. It doesn't matter. It works. It's going to work. I highly doubt that Mike McDaniel's attitude is going to overtake what Justin Herbert is going to be able to do offensively in his scheme. You got a bunch of nerds. You got a bunch of quirks. I love it. Like, how can you not love some of the one-liners that these guys are already dropping? The Chargers Twitter handle today, when they made the announcement, the first thing Mike McDaniel says, this isn't going to be a vape question, is it? It's like, it doesn't matter. These guys know, he knows how to create an innovative offense. And you have a head coach that has come in there and changed the culture of this team for the better and taken them to the playoffs 2 straight years in a row. Yes, I get it. They haven't won anything as far as the playoff goes, but it's a hell of a lot better in terms of that locker room, that feeling, the way that you hear players talk about coaches, than it has been in a long time.
I got to say, real quick, James Wagner. My son Lakin wanted to say that this coming Charger season will be electric. I got a feeling it will be. Or at least lights will be on brighter than they were this past season, especially on offense. When the Chargers lost in the playoffs, Jake, I don't think you could be any more down and out than Jake Hefner was after that loss. I mean, it was over. It was Wake Me Up When September Ends. It was Green Day. It was all the feels. It was that song that we're not playing right now.
Appreciate
Jake
it.
Hefner's head for a long time. But boy, did this 1-2 punch of relieving duties of Greg Roman infuse Mike McDaniel. Have we gotten the optimistic Jake Hefner back?
Coaching does a lot of things to change your attitude. I felt it when Jim Harbaugh was hired as the head coach. Dan knows this. I don't think that I have been nearly, not even close, fraction, a half of what I was prior to that coaching hire.
No.
And this has reinvigorated it yet again.
For folks who are new to this channel, prior to Jim Harbaugh being hired, like, I'm pretty confident that Mr. Jake Hefner maybe predicted half of the Chargers games as wins. Maybe. And I don't know if it's approaching 50-50, but it's about
fair. That. Yeah. It could honestly swing maybe 60-40 in favor of the other team.
And in 1 year, in the sophomore season of Jim Harbaugh, Jake Hefner predicted the Chargers to win how many games? 11. All of them.
11 games. And this year, I predicted them to win 11 games.
I think you said 11 games, but as we got to the actual predictions, I'm pretty sure you call the Chargers winning like every week.
Oh, you're talking about the predictions on here on a week-by-week basis?
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Before
the time I got to the end of the season, I'm like, well, they're in the middle of this gauntlet. They're on a 4-game win streak. Since the bye, I can't all of a sudden, turn it off and start picking against them now. I'm still going to do it. Couldn't do it. But as to Dan's point, what he's trying to get to is coaching changes your perception, changes your attitude, changes the way you look at the team when you ultimately see the results. And that's true with any team in the
good
NFL.
or bad.
Yeah. Good or bad. That's right.
Waylon Labs, him putting up 70 points on the Broncos last year feels kind of tough. That's impressive. That was a damn good Broncos defense last year, by the way. Can we talk Super Bowl, AFC Championship for like 1 minute here?
Maybe a minute.
1 minute.
I'm going to time you.
I'm pretty confident the NFC is going to absolutely truck the Patriots. I give credit to the Patriots defense, I guess. No, I don't. The Patriots defense have gone up against absolutely horrific offensive plays in both Los Angeles and Houston. CJ Stroud looked awful. And that offensive line for both of those two teams that they won those first 2 games of playoffs were horrendous. I'm talking like dead last and 30th, I believe. And then here comes Denver Broncos, whose offense has been pretty bad all season. And the Denver Broncos lose their quarterback. Stidham comes in. Drake May goes 10 points and is in the Super Bowl. Like, they've gone up against some legit defenses. Sure. But it's pretty darn easy to go up against legit defenses when all you got to do is score 4 points, 8 points. Like, come on. And that Seattle team is a juggernaut, man. Like, that team is good. Crazy times we're living in, Jake. Either Sam Darnold or Drake May was our Super Bowl this year. I think it'd be an awesome story for Sam Darnold. And, again, vengeance for all of the Pacific Northwest for that gut-wrenching Marshawn Lynch.
I am by no means a New England Patriots fan. I think we all had to sit there, witness, watch for 20 years. It's ridiculous the repetitiveness that has happened in the AFC as far as who represents the Super Bowl every year. And then, once Tom Brady left the Patriots, my focus had to shift to another team. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm very happy that that team and that certain quarterback is not in the playoffs. I didn't have to watch anything in relation to him, nor do I have to listen to anything in regards to him in the Super Bowl. It's refreshing. It's nice. But I also don't need to see a second coming of this next, to spark a new Patriots dynasty. Like, we need some more parity in the AFC. Something needs to happen. And whether it's the Chargers or anybody else, get your shit together. Come on, let's go. Let's get some new blood in there for the AFC.
Yeah, I will say this. Like, this year was, talk about parity. This year for the AFC especially, like, literally anybody could have won it. And, if the Chargers were healthy, and I'm not sitting here playing the if game, but there's a lot of things that didn't bounce their way, and they just simply couldn't take advantage of it. Jake, an interesting question I wanted to ask you, at least I thought it was interesting. And I'm seeing a couple people in the chat talk about some Chargers players who are going to eat. Sanch218 says KLS is going to eat in McDaniel's system. Ayuk type of player. My question to you, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a couple names who you feel will benefit most from this hire, aside from the obvious Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And who might this kind of send some smoke signals of your time may be limited here? By the way, I'll leave you a chance to think about this. We're almost up to 700 people here celebrating the news of Chargers OC Mike McDaniel as the Chargers.
Good job.
I gotta remember, it's my effing name. What am I doing here? Good Lord. Go ahead. Enough of me. Mike McDaniel. Daniel. God.
KLS is actually a great suggestion to think who's going to be able to thrive in this system.
I agree.
Because of the offensive line, you didn't have enough opportunity to take deep shots. And when you look at what KLS did in college, he thrived in stuff like that. So he's going to have more opportunities. I mean, the very few shots that he got, he ended up coming up big on those. Again, very few. You would have liked to see a little bit more, but not bad for a fifth-round rookie coming in to start in an already crowded wide receiver room. But damn, Ladd McConkey, Trey Harris. You go back to last year. What was the talk about the wide receivers and what the issue was and what you needed to find? Prior to the beginning of the season, it was, well, you didn't have any wide receivers that could separate in man coverage. Well, Trey Harris figured out how to do that in college. Also figured out how to be a contested catch catcher. Whatever. Contested catch wide receiver. Whatever the hell we're talking into now.
Contested catch.
He showed that. He showed that not only in college, but definitely in games this year. Terrific effort from him in his rookie season. Those two, I would say, are going to reap the benefits big time because Mike McDaniel is going to know how to get them in space, get them open. And you have to go back to Amari and Hampton. Look at the focus. As much as we want to talk about the weapons that they had, again, the focus of the run game, that's what's going to pair like this with Jim Harbaugh. We talked about the attributes that Jim Harbaugh would have wanted in a potential offensive coordinator. Head coach of the offense is what he called it. But in terms of what the focus is on the running game and how you're going to be able to modernize it, make it productive, make it help Justin Herbert, Mike McDaniel can do that. And as I was just talking, Dan, I just thought of one more. How about your boy, OG?
Do you see what they did with Jonnu Smith?
Yes, a couple years ago, Jonnu Smith. And we're talking about a very, very young group of weapons here. I can't wait to see it.
Spicoli asks, how many edibles did I eat? Well, if we're including Rubio's, one.
You sure?
I had Rubio's.
Sure.
Sure.
Are we sure?
Who do you think is safer? Quentin? Darius Davis?
Quentin. And that's not even close. That is the distance from Earth to Pluto.
But Darius Davis, is that kind of like speedster, small, gadget-y type? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like,
yes. If you could have told me, if you could tell me right now that you could see the future and that you could see an actual insert Darius Davis in this offense and be productive, then you may get me to make a case for it. But I just haven't seen enough of that yet. It's amazing that the most productive game that he had was in a Greg Roman offense that he had ended up having 2 touchdowns in a single game. And everybody's like, what the hell? Where did this come from? Dan was going nuts after that game. We all thought like, oh my God, here we go. He's not just a special teams kickoff returner guy. You got to block a plays for him? Great. And then poof. Didn't see him again. And unfortunately, he did not have a good year on special teams this year. So yeah, unfortunately, that one's not close.
He didn't have a good year anywhere. But some people say could get something decent trade-wise for Quentin. I mean, again, this is all stuff for the future. I was more just thinking off the top of my head. Yeah, I think Rondé Gasson for sure is going to benefit from this. I'm not sure how much Scott Matlock is loving this, given the type of scheme that he has fit in these years past. Yeah, I think KLS is a good one, though. I can see him thrive. I mean, I think they call him Big Play Dre. I mean, I think the offensive tackles, Zion Johnson probably, if he comes back, I think will benefit a ton because of kind of how the running game works with Mike McDaniel's offense. Amarian, obviously. Like, man. Yes, please. Otherwise, I mean, clearly Justin, Ladd. I think Keenan's out. I don't think Keenan fits personally. Although, I mean, before Mike McDaniel, I think Mike McDaniel could easily bring Keenan back and make it look great. I trust Mike McDaniel and Keenan Allen. But just given how the receivers look in Mike McDaniel offenses in the past, they just don't have any Keenans. Period. Let's get some of these voicemails, Jake. We haven't done this yet.
Let's go.
Should be fun. 323-902-7586 is the number of the hotline. We're up to 730 people in the chat. Love y'all. Both family the best. First voicemail, Jake. After the news of Chargers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel becomes official.
What's up, guys? I'm Matthew from Vegas. Just heard the news that the Chargers are going to get Mike McDaniel. That's all. That's pretty.
He said it right. I said it wrong the first time. Credit to Vegas.
Cool stuff. Everyone should be excited today, you know, but my question to you guys is...
There's a but? They hire Mike McDaniel. Everyone should be excited, but
let's hear it.
Here's the question.
Even though we're happy and stuff, but the problem is, like, who's going to be our defense now? Because we wasted an opportunity, you know, 2 years of the greatest defense, you know, and so now we don't know what's going to happen with the defense. Now we got a great offense, but what's going to be the questions are our defense. So now, are we going to rely on our defense now? Or can they be good? Are they going to be average or what? So I'm happy that we got McDaniels, but at the same time, it's like, is our defense going to be better or is it going to get worse? So I don't know. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, should we be happy? Yeah, we should obviously be happy, but at the same time, is our defense going to be better, you know? Because I feel it's going to be worse. You know, because there's going to be a lot of Jesse Minter. We don't know. So
I think that this call was actually just as far as context purposes. I think this was Matt calling from last week's initial announcement that the Chargers were going to hire Mike McDaniel as the offensive coordinator. So let's just keep that in mind as far as the time and the context in which he's speaking, I believe. But
even if it's today, it still holds true.
It does. So as Dan has put up on the slides here, insert Steve Clinkscale, who we just heard about at the top of our show as far as interviewing with the Chargers. But this is everyone that the Chargers have interviewed thus far as it relates to the defensive coordinators. Obviously, we know Denard Wilson is going to end up going to the New York Giants to go with the other Harbaugh to be their DC over there. Zach Orr, obviously, from the Patriots. Aubrey Pleasant, who was actually someone who I was high on a couple years back when he was taking defensive coordinator interviews. This was, I think, the same year, if I remember correctly, that Brandon Staley ended up coming in. Adam Fuller, Dylan Rooney, another internal candidate you have who was actually promoted last year. And then Steve Clinkscale. Dan, I don't think that this is close, honestly. I really don't. There's rumors out there that Jim Leonard is possibly in contention for the DC. I mean, coming from the Broncos, it's a pretty damn good defense, you have to admit. But to go back to Dan's point, if you wanted the least amount of turnover possible, whether we're talking about the rest of the assistant coaches or players themselves, Steve Clinkscale is so highly respected in that locker room, and just his coaching mentality that he brings to the table. If you've ever listened to one of his press conferences in terms of teaching the game to who he's responsible for. And I loved this, especially when he was breaking down, I think it was one of his first press conferences last year, where he was breaking down his utilization of their cornerback group. And him saying that we don't reserve one player to play one position here. We teach them everything. And I love the fact that he was real about it because he understood injuries happen in the NFL. So you have to have everyone prepared to step up and be ready to go in any given type of situation. So I think in terms of continuity that you go from Jesse Minter to Steve Clinkscale, as Dan was saying previously, keeping that system, possibly even a great chance to keep a bulk of the players that you have free agency-wise. It's a great start today by re-signing Tyler Tart. But in the big picture of things, I also think that he's earned it. Going all the way back to Michigan, I think that he has earned it. I think that he has. I would rather see them give Steve Clinkscale an opportunity than possibly lose out on having Steve Clinkscale as part of this staff. 100%.
Yeah, I think he's going to get plucked pretty soon if he doesn't become coordinator. I think it's just a matter of time. I mentioned it, Jake. Tyler Tart, 3-year extension. Yeah, big deal. And do I expect this Chargers defense to be as good as it was a year ago or this past year? It's hard. It's hard to imagine that. That being said, this is one of those, like, you got to put your faith in the head coach a little bit here, where he has some pull, and he has always been incredible at building out a staff. That's been one of his best calling cards since he has been a coach. And so, yes, Jesse Minter was absolutely electric for this Chargers defense, but I think he'll find another one. Will he be as good as Jesse Minter? I don't know. Probably different. But Jim Harbaugh coach teams are almost always great on defense. And so maybe he takes a step back. But if I can have an offense that goes from awful to at least pretty good, and a defense that takes maybe a little step back, that feeds families from coast to coast. Yes, please. Yes. Jake, what do you think about the contract details for Tyler Tart? Was it more than you expected?
I liked it. I think it's right on the money for what you need. And the fact that you did this now before.
Okay, there's 3 years. I think it's $20 million guaranteed. What?
Hang on, I'll just pull up. I know it's in the sevens. I just couldn't remember the second number.
Yeah, 3 years, like $20 million guaranteed. I want to say it's 37. Is that right?
In your flex points. Sorry, 3-year, $37.5 million extension.
There it is. Yeah. A little over $12 million a year. $20 million guaranteed. Yeah. I mean, Jim Harbaugh defenses are big. They are nasty. Tyler Tart personified. How many times do we see that guy wreck shop?
The most famous or infamous hands in Los Angeles, depending on what fan base you're from.
Oh, love it. And again,
when you can cause a stir on social media with just your right hand, you're doing something.
Hanan Dairy. If Ortiz did it last year, he'd have saved $8 million compared to the Puna contract. Maybe. Again, we don't know the full details yet. But, hell, cost inflation, whatever.
I think that if there's one thing that I have heard about Joe Ortiz, Dan, this is just a side note. I don't think anybody's letting him slide for last year. Nobody's going to let him slide for the offensive line, which, again, I don't think that he's going to make that mistake twice heading into this season. But insert player here to say, oh, yeah, you could have signed him to this extension here and here. Hindsight's 2020. I mean, again, look how banged up they were along the offensive line. I mean, you had to allocate a lot of money during the season. Normally, you're not expected to have those type of situations. Look, I get it. Yes, hindsight's 2020. We'll see what ends up coming with some of your other big name free agents, because always up. Tooley's not necessarily up for it, but you'd want to get ahead of it before next year, especially. We'll see what ends up coming of that. Is Khalil Mack coming back? Who knows? There's a lot of priorities for him. This is a huge offseason for Joe Ortiz, both in free agency and the draft, that he has to nail.
It's a lot of shuffling him. A lot of shuffling of cards, for sure. But think about that, right? Like, you bring a defense back, let's say you can get, let's just say 2 of 3 of Thule, which again, Thule doesn't have to resign this year, but let's just say they get Thule to resign and one of the others, Mac or OA. Probably gonna be OA. His defense is pretty good. Some people in the chat have mentioned Junior Colson. That's like the one kind of bummer about the Jesse Minter leaving now.
Yeah.
Is like you go back to draft day and like how important Junior Colson was to that championship Michigan team. And he's just been plagued with some injuries and stuff. And then finally he, in theory, should be coming back healthy this year. And Jesse Minter's gone. And those guys are like family, literally. So that's the one part that I'm like, dang it. Next voicemail.
Also looking for a linebackers coach.
This is true. Oh, this is true. Next voicemail.
Hey, Jake. Hey, Dan. It's Tom calling from Chicago. So Chicago Pride, go Bolts. Okay, first of all, I'm happy to hear finally McDaniel went ahead and he is going to be our guy. Too much time of us going, is he good? Is he not? Is he? Is he not? But okay, finally we got McDaniels. So do you think he's going to bring any other coaching guys with him? And also, who do you think our next DC is going to be? Love the show. Love you guys. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the call. I think we kind of touched on this, Dan. Was there anything else that we wanted to add? Obviously, we talked about Frank Smith. I know that Jim Harbaugh said during his end of season press conference that outside of Navarro Bowman and obviously the Jesse Minter situation, that they didn't expect any other coaching changes to happen, but time changes that. So you have to go on what is currently the openings on the roster right now. But yeah, I still think that there could be a couple more changes. If they were sitting at dinner for that long, technically breakfast, lunch, and dinner for that long, I'm sure that they had these conversations as far as what potential coaches that they want to craft to make this offense work.
I agree. I do think it's going to be Steve Clinkscale, unless there's some kind of odd out of left field thing that's been my front runner since the jump, since before Jesse Minter was even hiring for a head coaching job. And it's just, he's been waiting there in the wings since Michigan, literally. So I think he's ready. I legit think he's ready. And you've mentioned it, you touched on it a lot, but like what he did with that secondary, what he continues to do with that secondary. Go back to 2 years ago. That secondary was in shambles prior to the season. And then during the season, the secondary was obliterated by injury. And he brought in dudes from the street week after week after week. Didn't miss a beat. So if he could bring that to all 3 levels, yes, please. Yes, please. Tart is a beast. He's the best nose tackle we've had since Jamal Williams. I think you're right. I mean, Puna Forward was great last year, but he's not here anymore. I think Tyler Tart is more of a favorite than Puna Ford was. Like, he did a lot for himself this year. Also, Caldwell had flashes being great. Yes. Agreed. Next voicemail. Got a lot of these.
Oh, holy shit.
Just last week's?
I just finished running my marathon, and I checked my phone just now.
He's so full of shit. He did not run a marathon.
Hey, who knows, man?
No way.
He could have been up at 5 a.m. running, 5K, 8K, however it lasts.
A marathon?
Hey, dude, who knows? It's Monday. Not everybody does the same thing on Mondays, contrary to popular belief.
Hold on. Let's listen to this again.
Oh, holy shit. I just finished running my marathon.
Absolutely not.
Because remember, a week ago, when this news broke that it was reported that the Chargers were expected to hire Jesse Minter, that came at like 5 in the afternoon.
This voicemail came at 1:30.
Today.
Well,
let's play the rest of it.
And I checked my phone just now. It's official. It's official, guys.
See, Dan? Happy with that.
He goes from out of breath to screaming that long.
He was saving it. That may be the last. That may be the last time that he's able to scream for a while. That's impressive. Just to finish a marathon, to say like, okay, I need one last big breath for this call into the Chargers Unleashed hotline. We finally got Mike McDaniel. You pair that with the woohoo from last week, priceless.
Holy shit. I just finished running my marathon, and I checked my phone just now. It's official. It's official, guys.
Is that the same guy?
I don't know if it's the same guy.
Sound like the same guy. Dang.
But woohoo's all around. Let's go.
Hyped. Carlos. Woo! Yeah, that's the hashtag from last time.
Yes.
Yes, please. 880 people in the chat now. What are people talking about? That's not a post marathon. That's post just watched too many Sydney Sweeney movies. Did anyone actually save the woohoo from last time?
Dan,
yes.
I believe you did.
Yes, we did.
Let's fucking go, baby. We got
classic. God,
between that.
Good. Absolutely.
Of course we saved it. The woohoo is still top tier.
That's the intro to the show. The draft chimes followed by that woohoo.
We need to get... Isn't that the name of the chocolate milk?
What? You're thinking You're thinking yoo-hoos.
There.
Yoo-hoos. Not woohoos. Yoo-hoos, Dan.
Jeez.
First you said chocolate milk. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And then it clicked. I'm like, oh, you're talking about that.
Next voicemail.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Phillip Rivers in the house.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard that entire sentence be replaced. Instead of "oh shit yeah," it's "oh shoot yeah." It's great.
Got Mickey D, baby, Mickey D.
Don't do it to me.
You could just say it like that. You could just say it like that. So you don't have to say McDonald's. You could just say Mickey D, which technically still qualifies.
It does.
So in case you feel tempted to say the wrong name again, just abbreviate, and we're good.
Okay.
See, now that it's official, Harbaugh, I'm surprised he throw for 4,000 plus yards, 35 plus TDs. Marion go for maybe 1,500 all-purpose yards. So
good number.
Q finally gets used the way he needs to. Ladd finally gets used the way he needs to. I mean, this is going to be top of the line. And now if we get, Clink or somebody coming as the D coordinator, keep this train running. Even if we're a top 15 D with a top 5 offense, yep, Charger Nation for life.
Charger Nation for life. Thanks for the call. I think you're a first-time caller. Jake, an offensive play caller paired with Jim Harbaugh, paired with Justin Herbert. Could he ask for anything more?
No.
Couple questions about Tyler Linderbaum. Tyler Linderbaum is the big fish 2 target. A couple different ways to say that. But yes, Chargers have gotten pretty good at this whole big game hunting thing. So 2 questions, Jake. Does he still fit? And if so, I think they're spending that going on him.
Here's the issue with Tyler Linderbaum, because as you said, are they going to spend that amount of coin? Which, of course, everybody would say, like, yes, give him whatever he wants. Obviously, we need someone to come in and replace Bradley Bozeman. But you are going to get in a bidding war. And I'm sure when you looked at last year's, like, the top 3 offensive linemen that ended up coming off the board in day 1 of free agency last year, like, there was a bidding war for them. And as we remember Joe Ortiz saying in the press conference, 2 weeks ago now, that he's down to spend, but he's not down to recklessly spend, because obviously he knows how important everybody in-house is that we want to keep as a Charger.
Mm-hmm.
So again, do I think that you're going to see more action from him on day 1 this year than what you saw on day 1 of this previous year? I do. But you look at the Mike McDaniel hire, and you could say that may have thrown a wrench in there, for better or for worse, whichever way you want to look at it. Do I think that he is just all of a sudden off the board because it's Mike McDaniel's system? No, I think it could work. 100% think it could work. When we look at scheme fit as it relates to centers, I think that you could find something that actually translates very, very easily. So I'm not worried about the fit. But shit, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you want a guy like Tyler Linderbaum on your team? But I think that he's going to still be coveted not only by the Ravens to re-sign with them, even though I know the reports of them, letting him possibly be a free agent, but John Harbaugh is going to covet him at center as well over there in New York, and a lot of other teams are going to too. So are you going to be able to be in a bidding war? And if that keeps knocking up the price, depending on who the highest bidder is, what's it going to look like? Again, you have to monetize things correctly based on the position, based on the available options in free agency. So short answer is yes, but there's a lot of more underlying elements in that equation.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to all the free agents and possibilities and ways that they could possibly go through and spend this money. I'm not sure about them spending a ton on day 1. I think a lot of that really depends on the big in-house free agents that they re-sign. Like, if you see them re-signing a bunch of dudes in-house, that money's going to go pretty quickly. Now, they're going to clearly be able to still spend. But if they can bring back Owe and they can bring back Thule on an extension, and they can bring back Mac, I mean, that's already $60 million right there. No, they can play with money a little bit to make it look a little different year over year. But yeah, that's tough. That's tough. All right, we got about 10 minutes or so. 9 minutes, technically. Let's do a little rapid fire. Jake, I think we should end it on a high note. 1 voicemail left. While this voicemail is playing, folks in the chat, blow us up. Give us your comments, your thoughts, your questions. We'll do our best to kind of sprinkle in and rapid fire respond as we go through. Chargers bring in Mike McDaniel to be their offensive coordinator. Re-signed Tyler Tart, 3 years. Just interviewed Steve Clinkscale for in-house defensive coordinator, among others. Exciting times. Last voicemail. We get to rapid fire. Let's hear what they got to say.
Hey, very excited.
That was the one from last week, Dan.
Was it the same one?
Yes. It's that intro, dude.
Hey, very excited to hear the news of Mike McDaniel being hired by the Chargers. Much great to see
last week, great voicemail. Great voicemail. Because that was right after the woohoo, and then it went to, hey.
That's right. That's right.
To which I said, are you sure that you called my podcast?
Hey.
Fantastic transition. Yeah.
Oh, golly. All right. Spicoli doing the Lord's work. Gotta go smash the like and subscribe. Catch you next time, bro. Appreciate you. Wouldn't it be cool to have Mike McDaniel and Mike McDonald?
Not for Dan, it wouldn't.
No.
For Dan, it wouldn't.
I mean, it'd be great for the team, but for me trying to say their names correctly, absolutely not. Do we keep Jesse Mitchell's dad, Rick Smith, geez, Rick Minter on the staff?
Probably not. I'm sure he'd want to remain with Jesse and go to Baltimore, and I think that Jim Harbaugh would absolutely let him do it.
Yep. Let's see. Hanan Derry says, my guess, Ortiz will sign a free agent center or right guard for big money. The other signings are mostly in-house or 5 below for depth.
Yeah.
I will say something that'll be interesting to see is in the past, you saw Jesse Minter doing more with less, and you saw him kind of, aside from the Owe trade, like they were spending kind of small dollars on that side, and he was making do with a lot less than people would have thought. That might shift a little bit now when you got an offensive coordinator like Mike McDaniel who could bring out the most in others. So maybe we see some money go to defense.
I think you're going to see money that's allocated properly in a lot of different ways, but obviously offensive line is where your biggest holes are. And believe it or not, I don't think that Joe Ortiz is going to make the same mistake twice as it relates to how you're going to build up this offensive line. It's going to look a lot different, not just from who's going to be there, who's going to be playing, but obviously different in the scheme. So depending on that as well, I think you're going to see both free agency and the draft utilized for offensive linemen this year. No doubt about it.
Mighty 2399. Second time I've left a gold voicemail and it ain't get played. It's a damn shame. Okay. I have all the voicemails in here. So I'm not sure where your voicemail went, but it sure as hell wasn't to us. I'm not sure. TNT says Susie sells seashells at the seashore. So, Jake, should we call it? We're at almost 1,000 people, but I think dinner's calling.
Dinner's calling. I got steak on the Traeger. I got to go tend to that. But we knew we had to jump on here. We knew we had to jump on here and talk to everyone when the news became official for sure. And again, as we say every week, live shows are the best with you guys. It's great to have the back and forth interaction. Again, I know I feel like I'm a broken record when I say that, but Dan and I always appreciate everyone joining when it comes to these live shows. It's so much fun, and it makes doing this 100% worth it. And now that we're looking past the Super Bowl and getting into the offseason, Dan talked about it earlier in the show. He's finally going to start getting in draft mode. I keep trying to get him to do it earlier every single year, but he hasn't done that this year. Obviously, there's been other priorities that Dan has had to take care of. But
yes,
we'll be getting heavy into that talk over the next several weeks, couple months, as we get close to April. But we got a lot of stuff in between now and April 23rd. Free agency, other coaching news that's going to break. But Dan and I also talked about a giveaway a couple weeks back that we're going to try to do. So we will get to work on that. So lots of work that we have to do, but we promise we're going to do whatever we can to make this offseason enjoyable for all of you. Thank you again so much for tuning in. Jake Hefner, Dan Wolkenstein, Chargers Unleashed. We will see you next time.
Have a great night. Bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.